Today, we are uncovering the 7 Australian suburbs that are quietly engineered to wipe out your life savings and lose up to 40% of their value by 2028. From high-density concrete jungles hiding catastrophic structural defects to master-planned ghost towns built on uninsurable floodplains, buying into these postcodes today could instantly trap you in massive negative equity. Stay with me to the very end, because after we expose the worst property traps in the country, I am going to reveal the 3 bulletproof Australian suburbs and property types that will actually protect your wealth and grow your family's future. Australians have been sold the most expensive, comforting lie in the world. We have been brainwashed to believe that property always goes up. We look back at the great Australian dream, the solid double-brick home on a quarter-acre block that our parents bought for $50,000, and we assume that signing a massive mortgage today guarantees us that exact same financial safety. But here is the terrifying part that real estate agents refuse to talk about. The Australian property market has been quietly hijacked. Over the last 2 decades, the focus shifted from building generational homes to extracting maximum investor capital. Greedy developers, relaxed private building certifiers, and offshore land bankers changed everything. We replaced solid timber and brick with cheap flammable cladding, wafer-thin plasterboard, and massive high-rise towers built on unstable foundations. We built sprawling satellite suburbs with absolutely no schools, no hospitals, and single-lane roads that trap families in endless commutes. You think you're buying a piece of the Australian dream, but you're actually buying into a highly leveraged speculative casino, and the developers are cashing out before the cracks literally start to show. Let us pull back the curtain on the 7 toxic suburbs you need to avoid at all costs. Number 1. Zetland, New South Wales. Zetland is the poster child for the modern Sydney property boom. It is incredibly popular with young professionals and first-time investors because of its slick, modern apartment blocks, glossy cafes, and close proximity to the central business district. The renders look like a futuristic utopia, but let us look at what is actually happening inside those shiny concrete towers. Zetland and its surrounding high-density corridors have been plagued by widespread concerns over extreme building defects. Following the highly publicized evacuations of nearby towers due to structural cracking, buyers are waking up to a terrifying reality. Many of these buildings were rushed to completion by developers using cheap materials and private certifiers who signed off on substandard work. You will walk into the basement car park and smell the unmistakable stale scent of damp concrete and water ingress. You will see massive structural props holding up ceilings, and you will hear the constant grinding echo of tradesmen trying to patch up concrete cancer. So why is this a massive financial trap? Because when these defects are found, the original developer has often conveniently liquidated their company, leaving the owners to foot the bill. You are suddenly hit with a special strata levy of $80,000 just to fix a flammable cladding issue or a leaking roof. The glossy brochure suggests premium inner-city living for the modern professional. But underneath, many terrified owners feel it is closer to a structural time bomb designed to extract massive strata fees from trapped investors. And if you think escaping the city for a brand new house and land package protects you, Number 2 is going to be a massive shock. Number 2, Tarneit, Victoria. Tarneit is located on the outer western fringes of Melbourne. It is heavily marketed to desperate first home buyers and young families who are completely priced out of the established housing market. You can buy a brand new 4-bedroom house for a fraction of what you would pay closer to the city. But the moment you get the keys, the urban illusion shatters. Tarneit represents the absolute worst of Australian urban sprawl. Developers buy cheap farming paddocks, slice them into tiny 300-square-metre blocks, and build houses so close together that the gutters practically touch. But they completely ignore the infrastructure. There are not enough schools. There are not enough doctors. And the traffic. You will spend 2 hours every single morning sitting dead still in a queue of cars, just trying to get out of your own estate onto a single-lane arterial road. What does this actually mean for your property value? Capital growth relies on scarcity. In Tarneit, there is zero scarcity. Developers have thousands of acres of empty paddocks surrounding you, ready to build another 10,000 identical homes. When it comes time to sell, you are competing against thousands of brand new builds right down the street. The billboard promises a vibrant, growing community for your young family. But the daily reality is a master-planned traffic jam with unlimited housing supply that mathematically caps your property value. Because what you are about to hear changes the way you look at coastal holidays forever. Number 3, Surfer's Paradise, Queensland. Surfer's Paradise is the glittering, neon-lit heart of the Gold Coast. For decades, southern investors have flocked here to buy high-rise apartments, seduced by the promise of stunning ocean views and massive Airbnb rental yields. But behind the golden beaches, a massive financial hangover is brewing. Look closely at the majority of those towering apartment blocks. They were built in the 1980s and 90s. They are aging rapidly in an aggressive, salty, high-humidity environment. Concrete cancer is eating through the balconies. The ancient elevator systems are failing. And to fix these massive structural issues, body corporates are raising strata fees to astronomical levels. It's not uncommon to see annual body corporate fees pushing $15,000 to $20,000 a year just to keep the building from falling apart. Furthermore, local councils across Australia are aggressively cracking down on short-term holiday letting, imposing massive new taxes and restrictions. Your promised Airbnb cash cow is suddenly bleeding money. The real estate listing promises a sun-drenched coastal investment with massive returns. But the financial reality is an aging, salt-battered concrete box that will bleed you dry in strata levies. And if you thought chasing yields in the mining sector was a smarter bet, number 4 will make you incredibly uncomfortable. Number 4. Moranbah, Queensland. Moranbah is a classic Australian mining town. Real estate agents aggressively market these regional hubs to investors by flashing unbelievable rental yields. You can buy a basic, transportable house and supposedly rent it out to mining companies for $2,000 a week, but this is the ultimate investor mirage. Property values in single-industry mining towns operate on vicious, brutal boom and bust cycles. When the global price of coal drops, or when a mining company transitions from a residential workforce to a fully fly-in, fly-out automated camp, the town empties out overnight. We have seen values in these towns plummet by 60 to 70% in a matter of months. Houses that sold for $700,000 suddenly sit empty and rotting, eventually selling for $200,000. So why is this a massive problem today? Because the global energy transition is accelerating. Banks know this. Many major Australian banks actually require a massive 40% deposit just to approve a loan in these postcodes because they view the risk of a total market collapse as highly likely. The investment seminar suggests unbeatable double-digit rental yields for the savvy investor. But the harsh reality is a highly volatile, single-industry trap that will leave you with an empty house the moment the coal price shifts. Because the next suburb proves that ignoring environmental reality will literally wash your wealth away. Number 5. Lismore, New South Wales. Lismore is a beautiful, historic regional city surrounded by lush hinterland. It is full of stunning, heritage-style timber homes that are incredibly cheap compared to the coastal markets of Byron Bay. But Lismore is situated on one of the most dangerous, active floodplains in Australia. Following the catastrophic, unprecedented floods in recent years, the entire real estate paradigm in these zones has collapsed. The water did not just ruin the carpets, it submerged entire two-story houses, destroying the structural integrity of the timber and leaving behind a toxic, foul-smelling layer of toxic mud and mold. Here is the part the bargain-hunting investor ignores. These properties are now effectively uninsurable. Insurance companies have re-rated the flood zones, and annual premiums for a standard house have skyrocketed to $20,000 or even $30,000 a year. If you cannot insure the house, the bank will not give a future buyer a mortgage to purchase it from you. The real estate listing promises a bargain renovator's delight in a tight-knit community. But the brutal truth is an uninsurable, unsellable asset that is one heavy storm away from total financial ruin. And if you think staying high and dry in a new development protects you, number 6 is an absolute scandal. Number 6. Box Hill, New South Wales. Box Hill is part of the massive northwest growth corridor in Sydney. It is the epicenter of the off-the-plan house and land package craze. You put down a deposit based on a glossy brochure, locking in a price for a house that has not even been built yet. But buyers are currently walking into a psychological and financial nightmare. Over the last 2 years, construction costs in Australia have skyrocketed while interest rates have surged. Developers are invoking sneaky sunset clauses in the contracts, demanding buyers pay an extra $100,000 to finish the build, or cancelling the contract entirely to resell the land for a higher profit. Worse, when the house is finally finished, the bank sends an independent valuer. Because the market has cooled and there is a massive oversupply of identical homes in the area, the valuation often comes in way under the purchase price. What does that actually mean for you? It means you have to magically find an extra $80,000 in cash just to settle the loan. If you cannot, you lose your entire deposit. The developer's showroom suggests lock in your future today with an easy off-the-plan investment. But the legal reality is a one-sided contract that traps you in negative equity before you even get the front door keys. And finally, we look at the most artificial market in the entire country. Number 7. Docklands, Victoria. Docklands was supposed to be the ultimate waterfront extension of the Melbourne Central Business District. It was pitched as a world-class, premium destination for luxury high-rise living. But walk through Docklands on a Tuesday night and you will experience a chilling, wind-swept ghost town. There is zero organic community. A massive percentage of these apartments were sold off the plan to overseas investors who simply leave them empty, treating the airspace like a safety deposit box. Because there are thousands of identical soulless apartments packed into a tiny grid, there is absolutely no scarcity. Owners who bought apartments here 10 years ago are frequently selling them today for less than what they originally paid. You are paying a massive premium for a water view, but you are trapped in an area with brutal wind tunnels, skyrocketing body corporate fees, and zero capital growth potential. The sales pitch promises world-class, cosmopolitan waterfront living, but the actual numbers reveal a massive oversupply of identical concrete boxes where capital growth is mathematically impossible. Do you see the massive glaring pattern here? The Australian property market relies on you ignoring the fundamentals. They build massive high-rises with cheap materials and hide the defects. They carve up farming land without building roads or schools. They sell you off the plan contracts that transfer all the financial risk directly onto your shoulders. And they ignore the reality of uninsurable flood zones and aging concrete towers. It is a system designed to give developers maximum profit while leaving the everyday Australian family holding a rapidly depreciating, highly toxic asset. But you do not have to fall for it. Now let us talk about the Australian options that are actually worth your time and your life savings. If you want a property that will genuinely grow in value and protect your family, you must buy land, not airspace, and you must buy in areas with diverse, established economies. Option 1. The middle ring established suburbs. Look at suburbs 10 to 20 kilometers outside the central business districts of Brisbane, Adelaide or Perth. You are looking for older, ugly duckling double brick homes sitting on large 600 square meter blocks. These houses might need a coat of paint, but they have stood the test of time. They do not have flammable cladding. They do not have strata managers dictating your life. The value is in the dirt, and they are surrounded by established schools, train lines and hospitals. Option 2. Economically diverse regional hubs. Stop buying in single industry mining towns. Instead, look at massive regional cities like Ballarat or Bendigo in Victoria or Toowoomba in Queensland. These cities have their own massive independent economies. They have major universities, massive base hospitals and diverse agricultural and manufacturing sectors. People actually want to live there permanently. You get strong rental yields without the terrifying boom and bust volatility. Option 3. Small boutique blocks. If you absolutely must buy an apartment, completely ignore the massive high-rise towers with pools, gyms and elevators. Look for older solid brick walk-up blocks built in the 1970s. They usually only have 6 or 8 apartments in the entire complex. Because there are no lifts or swimming pools, the strata fees are incredibly low, the build quality is vastly superior, and you actually own a meaningful percentage of the land underneath the building. Australian property culture has drifted dangerously far from reality. We used to buy homes to live in and grow old in. Now we blindly throw $1 million at glossy renders, uninsurable floodplains, and cheap concrete towers simply because the bank approves the loan. You do not have to accept negative equity. You do not have to be a victim of a greedy developer or a volatile mining town. Start checking the flood maps. Start reading strata reports carefully. Demand solid brick. And always remember that land appreciates while buildings depreciate. If this video opened your eyes to the massive traps hiding in the Australian property market, tap the like button so more Aussies can protect their life savings before they sign a massive 30-year mortgage. If you want to stay one step ahead of the real estate industry and protect your family's financial future, hit subscribe and turn on notifications because we are just getting started. Now, I want to hear from you in the comments. Which of these toxic suburbs shocked you the most today? Have you ever been trapped by a massive strata levy or lost money on a shoddy new build? Let me know your horror stories below.